Guess who's finally going wireless? That's right, DG Modelworks. Alright, what I have here is the NCE RB02 wireless base station and the NCE wireless radio controlled Procab throttle. I picked up both these at my favorite hobby shop, Midwest Model Railroad, and don't forget about your coupon code DG Modelworks to save 5%. Alright, let's get these out of the package. Now in this video, I'll explain my current setup and show you how easy this is to set up with an NCE Powercab system or an NCE Powercab system with the SB5 Smart Booster. So let's get started. Now if you're new to my channel, I originally started with the NCE Powercab system and then later upgraded it with the SB5 Smart Booster. Now if you'd like to see some more information on the SB5 Smart Booster and why I upgraded to it, look above for the link to that video. So I'm going to show you how to connect the wireless system to not only the Powercab, but to the Powercab with the added SB5 Smart Booster. And they're both very easy to do. Alright, the first thing we'll open up is the RB02 wireless base station. So we have our base station, the wireless base station, the antenna, and looks like an RJ12 cable. And don't forget your instruction manual. Now remove your supplied cable from the plastic and screw on your antenna. Simple as that. Before we connect this to our system, we need to get out our wireless Procab throttle and get that set up. Now let's get the wireless Procab throttle out. And we have two manuals in this one. We have the wireless Procab throttle, and underneath here is a coiled cable that comes with it. Now the first thing you have to do is remove the battery cover and install 4 AAA batteries. So simply start out by removing the screw that holds the battery cover on. Remove the battery cover and install 4 AAA batteries. Now they are not supplied with this, so you do have to supply that on your own. And there is a diagram on the inside that shows you the direct orientation. And I will tell you right now, these fit in very tight. And they want to pop out before you get the cover on. And reinstall your screw. There we go. Now we have to set this up before we install our wireless module. Alright, what you're looking at is your original Powercab system and included PCP panel and the power supply that came with it. Now go ahead and plug it in just like you have been with the included flat cable that came with your system. Plug it in the bottom and of course the left side port on your panel, and as it boots up you'll notice it says address 2. That is the address of your throttle. Now everything's booted up like you were going to run a train. Now leave that all plugged in. Take your wireless Procab throttle that you just bought with the included coiled cable and go ahead and plug it in the bottom. And now plug the other end into the right side port of your PCP panel. And you'll notice that says cab address 2 just like the other one. You cannot have 2 cabs with the same address. So obviously we can't use this yet. We have to change the address of this throttle. Well, we already used 2 for the Powercab throttle, so I'm going to change this one to 3. So hold down the select loco button as you plug it back in. Now you'll notice cab 02 is flashing. So I'm just going to punch in 03, enter, and then the program escape button. There we go. It's up and running. It is now cab address 3. So now we can use that. Next step is unplug it. You can also change the cab address wirelessly, and I will discuss that further in the video. Now take your wireless base station with the antenna attached and use the included flat cable that came with it. Plug one end in to the side that says bus, and you want to plug the other end in to the right side port of your PCP panel. Now you can sit this anywhere you want, out of the way, mount it under your layout, wherever. I'm just going to sit it up here for now. Now that you have your wireless base station plugged in and your power cab is still plugged in and operating, this must remain plugged in at all times if you're just using a power cab setup. If you're using an SB5 smart booster setup, we will discuss that later in the video. This is just for the power cab setup. So in a power cab, you know, this is not only your throttle, but it is your base station and brains of everything. This must remain plugged in at all times. So I'm just going to sit that in my throttle pocket. Take your wireless Procab throttle that you just purchased, and we already set up the cab address to 3 using the wire. Now we no longer need the wire method. So to turn it on, press the emergency stop button. You may have to hold it in, but you'll notice it'll power up. There we go. And you'll notice a little blinking light under the local RX portion of the wireless base station, and you should get a little blinking light on top of your Procab throttle. That means everything is operating as it should. Now another way you can change the throttle address is once you have the batteries in, you can do it wirelessly. Make sure you have your wireless base station plugged into the right port on your PCP panel, and have your power cab plugged into the left side and powered up. Then you follow the same procedure. Hold in select loco while you turn on your wireless throttle with the emergency stop button. And again, it brings it up. Cab address is flashing. Punch in 03, enter, and then program escape. You're good to go. Alright, I have a locomotive here to test it out. We'll put it on the track. It will fire up right away because it's an economy decoder and we already have track power supplied. Alright, let's select loco. I have this as address 3500. So select loco 35. Well, it might help if I hit the right one. Select loco 3500, enter, and we should have control of it. Let's try the horn. Great. Let's increase speed step 1, 2. Got the bell. There we have it. You now have a successful wireless throttle to use around your layout. And like I said, while you're using this throttle, you must keep your power cab throttle plugged in as well, because that is the brains of the operation. But you can use that as a throttle also. So basically you have 2 throttles now, but this still has to be plugged in the entire time. Now another thing with this wireless base station, you'll see port A and port B here. If you have a very large layout, you can buy wireless repeaters that plug into this. And basically, you buy a repeater and you can plug it into port A or port B, or if you have a very large layout and you need a lot of repeaters, you use both port A, port B, and then you can repeat off of those repeaters, etc., etc., etc. So, if you have a very large layout, you can make this work by buying repeaters. But for most of us, I believe we'll get by with just one of these. Now, when you're done operating with your wireless Procab throttle, you want to turn it off to save your batteries. So, to do that, go down here at the bottom, press the EXPN button. You'll get a message pop up. Turn cab off, press 1. So we'll press 1. There we go. And again, like I said, to turn it back on, you press your emergency stop button. Simple as that. Well, there you have it. That's how you set up the wireless base station and the wireless Procab throttle on a regular NCE Powercab system. Now, if you're like me and you also have the SB5 Smart Booster, I'll show you how to connect that now. Alright, as you know, I use the SB5 Smart Booster with my Powercab. So I brought this up on top of the benchwork just so you can see what I'm explaining. So you're going to have to pretend the power supply is still plugged in along with the track wires. Now this here is the RJ12 cable that leads to my UTP panels that I have on my layout. And I have a few of them daisy chained together. I've mentioned that in previous videos. But this is an output to a UTP panel. Ever since I got this, I now use my Powercab setup with the PCP panel for a program track only, because the Smart Booster does not have the ability for programming on a program track. That setting is not available, and if you watch my video that I suggested earlier, I explain that in there. Using the Smart Booster, it goes with UTP panels. If you're using just a Powercab without the booster, then you need to use the PCP panel. Now, if you're not using UTP panels on your layout, then simply plug the wireless module into one of the cab buses on the front of the SB5 Smart Booster using the flat cable that came with your wireless module. Now, if you didn't already change the cab address to 3 on your wireless Procab throttle, you can do it on the Smart Booster. And it's the same process as we used with the PCP panel of the Powercab. You need your coil wire. You plug it in the bottom of your throttle, plug the other end in right here while you're holding in the select loco button, and you can program it just the same way. You can also change the cab address wirelessly with the SB5 Smart Booster. Simply plug in your wireless base station to the cab bus port and then power this up like we did earlier, holding in select loco while you press the emergency stop button. That will bring up the flashing cab number, and you can change it to 03 just like we did earlier. Now, this is where it's simple. Wherever you have this mounted, you have your RJ12 going to your UTP panel, you already have your power connected, your track output connected. All you have to do to get set up for wireless now, take your wireless base station with the included flat wire that they sent you and plug it into the other port. Then power up your throttle the same way we did earlier with your emergency stop button and run your layout. That's as simple as that. All you have to do is connect your wireless base station and change your cab address to 3 because your Powercab throttle is set at 2. And you're good to go. I mean, it's simple as that. I know I might have complicated it trying to explain it, but it really is simple. And I'll give you a test of this too. And again, if you're not using any UTP panels, then simply plug the wireless module into one of the cab buses on the front of the SB5 Smart Booster. Now, to give you a quick overview of my setup, just in case you're still a little confused. I originally started with the Powercab, and I still have that set up, but only for my program track, which is this section right here, this front track. And that's connected to the PCP panel that came with the Powercab. So whenever I want to use the program track feature of the Powercab, that is what I'm using. Since I have the SB5, the layout is wired up and they run off UTP panels. They are not a powered panel like the PCP panel that come with the Powercab. And I have a bunch of those daisy chained around the layout. So when I'm using my Smart Booster, which is most of the time, I'm using the UTP panels. So there is how the wireless connection looks with my SB5 Smart Booster. You see I have the power supply, my track bus line plugged in, the UTP panel RJ12 cables plugged in, and then closest to the right is the wireless base station plugged in. And I just have that sitting there on the shelf to the right. It's as simple as that, guys. Alright, that's how you set up your wireless Procab throttle on a Powercab or SB5 system. Now, as far as your Powercab, if you are using a Powercab system, you can use this as a second throttle, but it must remain plugged in at all times to your PCP panel. Also, it must remain plugged in all times to your PCP panel to be able to use your wireless throttle, because this is the brains of everything. It must stay plugged in with your flat cable. Now, if you're like me and you use an SB5 Smart Booster, then you use the coil cable and you plug it into your UTP panels to use as a second throttle. Alright, I hope I explained that easy enough for you, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Oh, it sure is nice being wireless.